All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Well, our next conversation is about health, as Kayla highlighted earlier. The United States government has instructed organizations in other countries to stop disbursing HIV funding, HIV purchased medications with USAID, even if the drugs themselves have already been obtained and are sitting in local clinics. What we make of all of that, we'll have conversations with two gentlemen this morning. But let me begin with Dr. Andrew Ume, who is a specialist family physician and occupational medicine practitioner. He is CEO of the Dr. A.E. Ume Medical Center, joins us from Middlesbrough in South Africa. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning, Doc.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, Dr. Dr. Awosika Begepan will be joining us shortly as well. But let me pick your brain. First of all, what's your take? The first slap, so to speak, jolt of the world is the President of the United States announcing that the United States was pulling out of the World Health Organization. And of course, there's been reactions as to how shocking that has been. And now this. What's your take? What's your impression?
All right. Good morning to you and your viewers. My name is Dr. Ume. I'm happy to join you here from Middleburg in South Africa. It is quite shocking to hear the recent development in terms of funding and aid package to all the countries that the United States has been supporting in terms of treatment for HIV, malaria, TB, contraception, as well as maternal and child healthcare services. But before we actually go on, it is important that we know exactly what services and aid the USAID is assisting, so that we can appreciate the consequence of the action taken by the new administration of President Donald Trump. The United States Agency for International Development has been assisting a lot of countries in terms of the treatment of HIV, health promotion and prevention, as well as carrying out research that enhances how they go on with the services they are providing. So when it comes to health, HIV prevention and promotion, it is important to know that in every country where they operate, they engage with the government, with non-governmental organizations, with private establishments, where they roll out campaigns in terms of teaching people the health implication of HIV and how to prevent it, and also supplying medication to those who are already living with HIV and taking care of those who are already afflicted with the disease, and also enabling and assisting those in the research sector to enable them to continue to carry out research that will help to improve the management of HIV. So if this aid comes to a stop, it means that these services that is being rendered all across the world will automatically come to a stop.
It would seem like, just a second, Dr. Ome, it would seem like already, I mean, that train has already moved, because the funding has been stopped. Let me ask Dr. Awosika here with us. Dr. Bayode Awosika is MD Medin Specialist, is convener Market Impact Conference. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you again for seeing you.
Did you see this coming, this stoppage of HIV treatment funding in Nigeria?
Sincerely, I think I saw it coming. I think it's time for Africans and developing countries to get themselves together. I will look at this from a different perspective entirely. HIV was first discovered in America in May 1981 in America. The first time HIV was found in African soil was in Uganda in 1982. That's about a year after. HIV was not found in Nigeria until about 1985 and 1986. And sincerely, America came into, and then after it got to Africa, it's like wildfire. They raided the whole of South Africa, Zambia, some of those countries.
Essentially, in Nigeria, it's 40 years old.
It's about 40. It's 40 years old. You know, and there was something that was established by the American government, what they call PEPFAR. This is a President Emergency Plan for AIDS relief. And they were working with USAID, and they had pumped a lot of money into it. They spent almost $100 billion into it, specifically for Nigeria, about 7.8 billion. And they've been doing over the years. Nigeria has established what we call NECA, this is National Agency on the Control of AIDS. And so America has been doing its own bit. In fact, actually this PEPFAR is one of the best of America. To me, it's one of, everybody praised them for doing it because it was, a lot of money was spent and a lot of effort. Like the doctor said, the whole purpose of it was to take care of the people with HIV AIDS, to prevent it, and to supply drugs. Over the years, they have been doing it. As of today, I think there are about 1.8 million of Nigerians still having AIDS, having issues of AIDS. Nigeria is the fourth in the world with this burden of AIDS. How long are we going to wait for other nations of the world to keep helping us to solve our problems? Because when I heard it, I laughed. I said, shock waves. I said, yes, fine, because a time has to come when African countries will need to wake up. I was trying to do a little study yesterday, and I just discovered that the ordinary drugs used for AIDS are not produced in Nigeria. They make arrangements. Is it that we cannot produce it? Is it that we cannot seek for license to produce it? So I think, yeah, it's a shock wave. But, like I look at it like when it happens with COVID. When COVID came, people thought that they would have a skin sickness that they can just run somewhere. And then everywhere was locked. A time has come. I'm talking like a Nigerian and an elder statesman in Nigeria, not because I've been in this for quite some time. A time has come when we need to sit down and sort ourselves out. Trump says American first. And the man is doing everything that concerns him as American first. The unfortunate thing is there's a global village. That's why I said that the first aid that was recorded was in May 1981 in America. And then they discovered next one in Uganda, East Africa, and then obviously South Africa came into it, and it was all over. So you see, if they decided to stop, people still move around. Do they think that if you stop this and there is a breakdown, America can be isolated from it? No.
But, Dr. Bayodi, the challenge there would be, I beg your pardon, Dr. Awosika, the challenge there would be, are we ready for it? Are we ready for the consequences? If you saw it coming, I assume, if you saw it coming, I assume that the federal government would probably have suspected as well that this is likely to happen.
Yeah.
So, are we ready for the consequences?
Do we have a choice? You see, it's not even been ready. The whole thing is thrown on our faces now. And there are so many things he's doing, and I think there will be more shock waves. So the whole thing here is this. We need to sit down. We have people managing our Ministry of Health. These are international people. They've been outside the country. They know how this thing works. We can do it if we are determined. You see, this whole idea of one money coming from somewhere and then we use it to solve our problem just have to stop. I was just talking about COVID. From the time of COVID until now, if you can imagine the number of new hospitals that have cropped up in Lagos. New hospitals with very sophisticated equipment. Because why? Suddenly realize that there will be another time where you cannot get out of your country and you are locked in and you have to take care of your people. So it's unfortunate. I believe that maybe probably there will be a rethink on part of government, but as far as I'm concerned, I believe that it is just a sign to tell us that come, you take care of yourself. And you see, I think yesterday was 28th of January. For 22 years, this PEPFAR, this President Emergency Program for AIDS, has been in existence. In fact, the last I heard was that by 2030, they were thinking that this burden of AIDS the health burden of AIDS will be dramatically reduced over the world. Just 2030 is about 5 years. And you see, it's going to be a credit to America.
Okay.
If it is done.
Let me ask, Dr. Ome, one of the concerns anyone would have, and I don't know if it's a personnel issue as opposed to resources issue now. It's coming at a time when a good number of people want to get out of Nigeria, particularly medical practitioners. The chief medical directors in Nigerian hospitals have said that, look, in 2 years, if we're not careful, there will be no medical practitioner in any hospital in the country anymore. And here we are, one major, as you said, area of funding for a critical international illness or debacle is being cut. And Dr. Awosika is saying we need to wake up and smell the coffee. Do you think we are ready? Talking in terms of personnel at a time when medical practitioners are leaving the country in droves.
Yeah, I want to agree with my colleague, Dr. Awosika. It's quite unfortunate that despite all the assistance that we've gotten from the United States over the years, we expect that African countries will be in a position to sit up and try to cover the loopholes. But it's quite unfortunate that African countries are not yet ready to take up that mantle of leadership and continue to manage these situations as we see it. It's not only in the area of HIV/AIDS, it also involves malaria and TB. They assist a lot of patients in terms of getting medication to stay alive and also to help in reducing the spread of this, some of these infectious diseases. So with these shortcomings, I'm afraid that a lot of patients will suffer unless the government drastically come up with a relief plan to help people get access to their medication and also to put measures in place to encourage our doctors to stay back and assist the community.
I mean, Dr. Ome, it's interesting that you're reaching us from South Africa. There's a research, Dr. Ome, that says basically that if PEPFAR were to end, as many as 600,000 lives will be lost over the next decade in South Africa alone. And that's for South Africa that even has the means to care for a lot of its vulnerables. Poorer countries may even see worse. The former chief of staff of PEPFAR during the Biden administration, Mr. Jira Ratevosa, he actually basically talked about how the domino effect of these policies of President Donald Trump would have far-reaching impact on the health systems, especially in countries with large populations like Nigeria and of course in South Africa, and of course poorer populations across the continent. Now, the conversation we'll be having this morning is about looking inwards. Let's start looking at what we do inside of us. What should, instead of looking at what Donald Trump is doing, because in fairness, Republicans have been campaigning against PEPFAR for a very long time. And the reason why they've been campaigning against it is because they believe it promotes abortions. They had been saying this for many years. So now that we're talking about looking inwards, in your view, as someone who's in this field, what should governments, at least governments in Africa and in Nigeria and in South Africa as well, what should they be doing to adjust to this new reality?
Yeah, I think the government need to sit up now. They need to be able to enlighten the community about these conditions, provide resources for people to be able to continue to get access to their medications. And time for handout is gone. So for now, I think every country has to take that initiative, allocate more resources to the health sector so that some of these measures can continue. Otherwise, just like you said, a lot of people, we're going to lose a lot of patients once they stop getting their medications that keep them alive. So the government in Africa need to sit up and allocate more resources and train health personnel that will be able to come into the field and continue to play the role that will enable our patients to live happily and survive.
Let me come back to Dr. Awosika, because listening to everything that's happened in the past few days, like I stated earlier, it does seem like it is time to look inwards. Time for us to so get your act together. You're not going to be getting money from anywhere. Some people may have issues with it, but for many people, this is an opportunity. And any smart government, Mr. Awosika, Dr. Awosika, any smart government should start to look in that direction, of how they can take care of their own population themselves. In your view, with everything that's happening, the truth is this money is not coming anymore. These fundings are not coming. It's not going to come anymore. The man has said he doesn't want to do it anymore. So what should we be doing to adjust to the situation in your view?
Thank you very much. I think we need to get our priorities together. We have the manpower. The present Minister of Health is an international person. He's worked in international organizations. And, we just have to get our priorities right. I have always said that, unfortunately, health has never been the priority of an average Nigerian, not talk of government. There's a lot that the government has to do. The first thing to do is to make sure that everything that the people living on HIV, living with HIV, the 1.8 million body that we have, the supply of their drugs must not stop. I say must. There are various treatments, there are various investigations they need to do, must not stop. You see, we cannot portray our nation as a helpless nation. We are not helpless. We spend money also all other things. We bid roads every day. We spend billions. It's just the problem is this health thing. And I think this year there's a bit of an improvement in the budget national budget for health. I think we need to do more. And it's a wake-up call. That's what I say. Because when I saw it, when I heard about it, I was silently excited. Because, see, a time has to come when a nation have to really rediscover himself. We cannot continue to live on AIDS and live on help. And basic things we can do for our people, we cannot do. It is not right. Our insurance policy had to be improved for health services. A lot of things have to be improved. The doctors that are moving away every day, I have a hospital. It is almost impossible to keep them. These young boys, I look at them and compare with when I qualified 47 years ago. It's almost becoming a taboo to become a doctor because it's just tough. These are areas that government has to look into. And our doctors go out there, they do extremely well. It's the same doctor they are using all over the world that are performing the miracle, and they are not. We cannot use them here. So I don't want to continue to repeat myself. Government has to wake up. We can do it, whether they stop it or not. We can do it. But the thing is that we must not. There must not be a failure of continuity of the treatment of these people, because if it gets to jail, they are gone, and then people are dying. So many of them are doing extremely well now. Their city count, the city fall is virtually reduced. They are doing extremely well. They are living their normal life, and then because they are using their drugs, then if you get to your clinic tomorrow and find that the drugs are not available, it should be a shame to the country.
Just a quick one before we wrap. Do you see it being returned after 90 days?
I think it can. It's not impossible. You see, because like I said,
will that be good? Would that be a good thing? Do you think Nigeria has the capacity to buckle up now and hit the...
I believe we can. I believe we can. And you see, if America decide to return it, is credit to them. Because like I said, we're looking at that by 2030, the burden of AIDS should actually be reduced, and the credit will go to America. So if they decide to do it, fine. But if they don't do it, we should be able to survive.
Okay. Well, I have to thank you very much this morning. As you said, it's a wake-up call, a jolt of energy. Let's hope that government and everyone who should, take the gauntlet, just as you've suggested. Dr. Olubayode Awosika is Medical Director of Medin Specialists, this Convener Market Impact Conference. And we've also had virtually Dr. Andrew Ume, who is a specialist family physician and occupational medicine practitioner, CEO of Dr. A.E. Ume Medical Center in South Africa. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here this morning.
Yeah, you.
And that's the show this morning. Thank you so much for the privilege of being a part of your morning. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm Ayo Makinde.
I'm Kayla Magwa. Enjoy the rest of your day.